Who was Ed Gein, the real-life horror that inspired nightmares? Imagine a world where the line between reality and the most twisted horror film blurs. A world where the unimaginable becomes chillingly real. This is the world of Ed Gein, a name synonymous with unspeakable acts and the dark origins of some of our most terrifying fictional villains. Give a like and subscribe, leave a comment. Edward Theodore Gein entered the world on August 27, 1906, in Crosse, Wisconsin. His early life was a stark landscape of isolation and religious extremism. These formative years would unknowingly shape the man who would later become known as the Butcher of Plainfield. His father, George, was a passive, often absent figure, lost in the haze of alcoholism. Augusta, his mother, was the dominant force, a woman consumed by fanatical religious beliefs. She preached a strict, puritanical worldview, condemning the outside world as a den of sin. Ed, along with his brother Henry, were largely confined to the family's isolated farm outside Plainfield, Wisconsin, a move made around 1915. Augusta actively discouraged any social interaction beyond the confines of school. This isolation fostered an unhealthy dependence on his mother's warped worldview. The Gein brothers grew up under the constant weight of Augusta's religious fervor. She instilled in them a deep-seated fear of women and the perceived evils of the outside world. This oppressive environment would prove to be a breeding ground for the darkness that would later consume Ed. The year 1940 marked the first significant crack in the already fragile foundation of Ed Gein's life: the death of his father. With George gone, Ed and Henry took on odd jobs to support the family, but the dynamic within the household remained largely unchanged. Augusta's influence continued to dominate. 4 years later, in 1944, tragedy struck again. Henry Gein died during a brush fire on the family farm. The circumstances surrounding his death remain shrouded in suspicion, with some speculating that Ed may have played a role. Henry's death further cemented Ed's dependence on his mother. He became increasingly devoted to her, clinging to her teachings and seeking her approval. This unhealthy attachment would soon reach a breaking point. The year 1945 brought the ultimate blow: Augusta's death. With his mother gone, Ed Gein's already tenuous grip on reality began to unravel completely. He was left alone, adrift in a world he had been taught to fear and despise. Following his mother's death, Ed maintained her room exactly as it had been when she was alive. It became a shrine to her memory, a testament to his unwavering devotion. This act was a clear indication of his descent into madness. Left to his own devices, Ed began to indulge in increasingly bizarre and disturbing interests. He developed a fascination with anatomy books and true crime magazines. These materials would provide the spark for the horrors that were to come. Ed Gein supported himself as a handyman and babysitter, seemingly harmless and unassuming. But beneath the surface, a dark obsession was festering. Over the years, residents of Plainfield mysteriously disappeared, their fates unknown. In 1954, Mary Hogan, a local tavern owner, vanished without a trace. The disappearance sent ripples of fear through the small community, but no immediate connection was made to Ed Gein. The truth would remain hidden for 3 more years. Then, in 1957, Bernice Worden, the owner of the local hardware store, disappeared. Suspicion quickly fell on Ed Gein, who had been seen in the store that morning. This time, the authorities would uncover the horrifying truth. A search of Gein's farmhouse revealed a scene of unimaginable horror. Worden's headless body was found hanging in a shed, but this was just the beginning of the nightmare. The farmhouse was a macabre museum of human remains. Organs were stored in jars, skulls were used as bowls, and furniture was upholstered with human skin. The discoveries defied comprehension. Gein confessed to killing both Worden and Hogan. He also admitted to robbing graves, exhuming bodies from local cemeteries to collect body parts. His motives were as disturbing as his actions. He practiced necrophilia and fashioned masks and suits from human skin, claiming he wanted to become his mother. The full extent of his depravity was beyond anything the authorities had ever encountered. Law enforcement attempted to connect Gein to other unsolved disappearances in the area. While he was never charged in those cases, the possibility that he was responsible for more deaths loomed large. The true scope of his crimes may never be fully known. The media quickly seized upon the story, and Ed Gein became a national sensation. He was dubbed the Butcher of Plainfield, the Plainfield Ghoul, and the Grandfather of Gore. These monikers reflected the public's fascination and revulsion. In 1958, Gein's farmhouse mysteriously burned down. The fire destroyed much of the evidence, but the legend of Ed Gein had already taken root. The charred remains of his home became a grim reminder of the horrors that had transpired within. Ed Gein entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. The court ordered a psychiatric evaluation to determine his mental state. The findings would determine his fate. In 1958, Gein was deemed unfit to stand trial due to schizophrenia. He was committed to Central State Hospital for the criminally insane, where he would undergo treatment and observation. 10 years later, in 1968, Gein was found fit to stand trial for the murder of Bernice Worden. The trial was a media circus, with the world watching as the details of his crimes were laid bare. Gein was convicted of Worden's murder, but the court also determined that he was legally insane at the time of the crime. He was recommitted to Central State Hospital, spared the death penalty due to his mental state. In 1974, Gein petitioned for release from the mental institution. The petition was rejected, with the court citing his continued mental instability and the potential danger he posed to society. In the late 1970s, Ed Gein was transferred to Mendota Mental Health Institute. He remained there until his death on July 26, 1984, at the age of 77. The cause of death was complications from lung cancer and respiratory illnesses. Gein was buried in a county cemetery near Plainfield, his gravestone becoming a morbid tourist attraction. People came from far and wide to see the final resting place of the Butcher of Plainfield. In 2000, Gein's gravestone was stolen, a testament to the enduring fascination with his crimes. The gravestone was later recovered, but it was decided to leave the gravesite unmarked to prevent further vandalism. Ed Gein's crimes transcended the realm of true crime and seeped into the collective consciousness, inspiring some of the most iconic horror characters in cinematic history. His story became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary individuals. Robert Bloch's novel Psycho was directly inspired by the Ed Gein case. The character of Norman Bates, a seemingly harmless motel owner with a dark secret, mirrored Gein's isolation, his obsession with his mother, and his descent into madness. Alfred Hitchcock's film adaptation of Psycho brought the story to a wider audience, cementing Norman Bates as one of the most iconic villains in horror history. The film's exploration of mental illness and the hidden darkness within the human psyche resonated with audiences and critics alike. Leatherface, the chainsaw-wielding cannibal from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, also drew inspiration from Ed Gein. Leatherface's grotesque masks made from human skin were a direct reference to Gein's macabre creations. Buffalo Bill, the serial killer in The Silence of the Lambs, shared Gein's disturbing habit of skinning his victims. Buffalo Bill's desire to create a woman's suit was a chilling echo of Gein's own twisted fantasies. Ed Gein's legacy extends far beyond the realm of true crime. He became a symbol of the darkest aspects of human nature, a reminder that the most terrifying monsters are often the ones that walk among us. His story continues to fascinate and disturb, serving as a source of inspiration for horror writers and filmmakers for generations to come. If you found this exploration into the life and crimes of Ed Gein disturbing and fascinating, then hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the darkest corners of true crime. Share this video with your fellow true crime and horror enthusiasts, and let's discuss in the comments. What aspect of the Ed Gein case do you find most unsettling? Also, check out our other videos on infamous serial killers and unsolved mysteries. Your support helps us continue to bring you these in-depth analyses.